It's like being at synagogue. Sometimes you show up for the sermon, that's the community, and sometimes you just need bagels and lox afterwards. That's the belonging. I'm Stephen Belenke, a coach to leaders, a facilitator to executive teams. And this is Spare Me, a short, sharp dive into the heart of human dynamics for anyone who's ever asked themselves, what's actually steering the ship here? And by ship, I mean you, your habits, your reactions, and your choices when the water beneath you gets choppy. I'll try to cut through the noise, poke at some blind spots, and maybe even make you laugh along the way. Because leading teams and companies is serious business. But it doesn't have to feel that way. So buckle up, 10 minutes or less, and I'll leave you thinking, why didn't anyone say it like that before? At the very least, I'll spare you the fluff, because you've got real work to do. Being Jewish, I have a bottomless inventory of funny stories that are really life lessons. And there's this old one about a Jewish man stranded on a desert island. After years alone, he's finally rescued, and his rescuers are just amazed to see that he's built not one, but two synagogues on the island. So they ask him, why two? And he points to the first one and he says, well, that's the synagogue I go to. And then pointing at the second one, he adds, and that's the one I wouldn't be caught dead in. I think that joke perfectly illustrates the complexity of community and belonging. You know, how we crave connection, but also draw lines that define where we do and don't feel we fit. Belonging isn't just about being in a group. It's about finding the right kind of space that feels like home, even when the boundaries aren't always rational. But I do think there's a difference between belonging and community. They're related, but they aren't the same thing. And in business, especially entrepreneurship, belonging versus community is a distinction a lot of us gloss over. And when we do, we can end up feeling stuck or frustrated or just off. But I think if we can get clear on what they mean and which one we really need in any given moment, it becomes another tool in our toolbox for being more effective. And the first thing I would say about that is that while both belonging and community are essential to our well-being and success, they serve different purposes. And if we're not aware of which one we need, we can end up searching in the wrong places or expecting the wrong things from the people around us. So, what really is the difference here? Well, I think belonging is like a hug. You know it when it feels right, but squeeze too tight and it gets awkward real fast. It's about acceptance. It's that deep sense of being seen and valued for who you are. When you belong somewhere, it feels like there's no mask to wear. You're essentially in sync with the environment, whether that's a team, a partnership, or a social space. I think there's a certain emotional safety that comes with belonging. It's like a relief. When you belong, you say things to yourself like, these are my people. I can breathe here. Now, community, that's a bit different. You know, an Israeli once said to me, you haven't really experienced community until you've argued over who's bringing the hummus. It's about connection through shared interests and goals and values and these cultural norms. You don't necessarily need to feel fully accepted or understood within a community. You're there because you contribute to something meaningful together. Community gives you purpose. It gives you a sense of contribution to a larger goal, whether that's professional or personal or even cultural. So here's the thing. Just because you're part of a community doesn't mean you'll feel a sense of belonging. And just because you feel a sense of belonging with certain people doesn't mean they'll always meet your community needs, like helping you grow or innovate or reach your goals. They essentially scratch different itches. So why do I think this matters? It matters because leaders, hell, all of us, often look for both belonging and community from the same source. And I think that's where we go wrong. We might think that being part of a work team or organization means we should feel a deep sense of belonging. Or we expect a social group to support us professionally when really it's just a place where we feel accepted, not necessarily challenged to grow. When these expectations get blurred, that's when frustration sets in. So think about it. Have you ever joined a group because you thought it would be your people, only to feel like an outsider even after months? Or maybe you've experienced the reverse, belonging to a group that felt like home but didn't actually help you move forward in life or work. I think that dissidence can lead to resentment. It can lead to burnout or a feeling of being stuck. I do think knowing whether you need belonging or community at any given moment is key to setting yourself up for success. When you're in a high stress period, maybe you're launching a new venture, or you're going through a personal change, or you're leading in a high stakes environment, belonging can give you the emotional safety to stay grounded. You need people who can say to you, you got this, and I got your back. On the flip side, when you're trying to achieve or grow or innovate, you might need community, even if you feel a little uncomfortable in that space, because growth can be awkward, right? I mean, communities often challenge us, they push us, they make us confront our limitations, but they also give us purpose and momentum. And communities are like family. You don't always like everyone, but you can't ghost them without some kind of fallout. I think the key question is, what do I need right now? Am I looking for comfort or challenge? Do I need to feel safe and accepted, or do I need to be pushed and inspired? I think the answer to that question will tell you where to look and what to expect. I often get asked if it's possible to achieve both, maybe even simultaneously. It's a good question. So here's the good news. You don't have to choose one over the other forever. Belonging and community can coexist, just not always from the same place or group. My mom had this great saying. She used to say to me, Stephen, you can have everything you want, just not at the same time. Sometimes you find a sweet spot where the people you belong with also push you to grow. But if you don't, that's okay. You can cultivate both, just in different spaces. The trick is to be intentional about it. You build spaces where you belong, where you feel accepted for who you are. But you also seek out communities that push you, that challenge your ideas, and help you grow. I think when you balance both, you'll find you're more resilient, you're more engaged, and better able to lead and collaborate, no matter what's in front of you. Just remember, belonging is knowing where the snacks are. Community is knowing who's judging you for eating the last one. So this is really all conceptual. Let's see if I can bring this down from a 30,000 foot elevation. I try to focus on this question. How do you decide which one you need at any given time? And this is a tactical question. And maybe look at it this way. If you need belonging, you can do a few things. One, you can reach out to your inner circle. Make time with the people who get you. Whether that's friends or family or a trusted colleague, find someone you can be your unfiltered self around. Another thing you can do is create space for reflection. I like to journal. I like to be mindful, or even take a solo walk can help me reconnect with myself. Feeling grounded in who you are is often the first step towards feeling a sense of belonging. You can also build what I like to call micro rituals in your environment, whether it's setting up a cozy workspace or a morning routine that centers you. Creating familiar spaces builds that sense of emotional safety. Now, on the other hand, if you need community, you can join a group aligned with your goals. That could be a professional network or a mastermind group or a project team. Just look for spaces where the goal isn't comfort, but progress. Get comfortable with the discomfort because growth happens outside your comfort zone. And if you feel challenged or stretched in a community, that might mean you're exactly where you need to be. You can also contribute meaningfully. Communities thrive when everyone adds value. You can ask yourself, how can I show up in a way that serves this group's mission? Because contribution builds connection over time. Now, to go back to that question, do they overlap and work together? I say to that, belonging and community aren't mutually exclusive. They are not mutually exclusive. Sometimes belonging creates the foundation you need to show up fully in a community. Other times, being part of a community can eventually lead to a deeper sense of belonging. Here's one idea. Look for ways to bring belonging into your communities. That might mean showing more vulnerability at work, or leading with compassion, or helping others feel seen. At the same time, try to seek out purpose within spaces where you already belong. Ask the people you trust to push you, to challenge your ideas, to join you on this growth journey of yours. Because when you balance both, you'll find you can be both grounded and growing. You can be connected and evolving. I think that's where the magic happens. It's like being at synagogue. Sometimes you show up for the sermon, that's the community, and sometimes you just need bagels and lox afterwards. That's the belonging. Okay, that's enough Jewish shtick, I think. But if you take anything from this, anything at all, it's that belonging and community, they're not interchangeable. They meet different needs. They scratch different itches. So know which one you're craving and go after it with intention. Don't expect one space to fill both needs. And don't feel bad if belonging feels comfortable but stagnant, or if community feels exciting but a bit awkward. Both have value, but in different ways. Every day since I've been living here in Vietnam with Rachel, I've asked myself, do I need belonging or community today? And where can I find it? And how can I cultivate both over time? And I try to take one small step in the direction I need at any given day. Whether it's texting a fellow entrepreneur, or driving my motorbike through the rice fields to Ballet Market, or going to dinner with new friends that we've just met here. Ultimately, it's all about being intentional with what I'm needing and seeking today, and bringing some rigor to it by being consistent with it. Okay, that's enough of that.